Alright, what's going on everyone? My name is Silver, and today I'm going to show you some basic ways upon how to increase your power. Just so that when you're progressing through the main stages, you're not getting stuck as much. Though do keep in mind that this is an idle game, or an AFK game, so there are going to be instances where you are going to get stuck every once in a while. But hopefully this video will help you guys not get stuck as much. Anyways, let's go ahead and get into it then. So probably one of the best ways to increase your power is by leveling up your Nikkes. Or basically, I just kind of call them units. In which basically leveling up their levels, this is going to require you to have battle data and core dust. Now core dust is a little bit harder to come by, but you also don't really need those except for like every, I believe, 10 levels, if I remember correctly. So, but the biggest thing is going to be your battle data, because you're going to need these for all of your levels. And this is kind of where the AFK part of the game kind of starts to come into the game. So going through the story, eventually you will come up with the outpost. Just by going through the story, you'll unlock the outpost, and this is kind of where the AFK starts to come in. You'll get this outpost defense. This is where your AFK timer, and it can hold up to a total of 14 hours, which is basically 100%. And so you don't really want to reach 14 hours just because then you're kind of losing resources after that. But that's practically it. You can only hold 14 hours. So before it hits 14, make sure you claim these. And this is kind of only one of the best ways to actually get the resources to level up your Nikkes. However, the next thing that you can use is the wipeout mechanic. The wipeout mechanic basically gives you 2 hours of each resource. So basically the battle data, the credits, and the core dust. When you wipe out, it will give you an award of basically 2 minutes. Not 2 minutes, 2 hours. Gives you 2 hours of rewards. And this can be done up to a total of 11 times. Of course, the first wipeout is free, but after that, each one costs a total of... It starts at 50 and it goes by, I believe, 20 gems. So ultimately, you don't want to use up all of your wipeouts because that's going to be a whole lot of gems you're going to have to use. Basically, personally, what I like to do when it comes to the wipeouts is I like to go all the way up until it starts to cost about 250 gems. To me, that's the sweet spot, at least for me. Some people like maybe going further, some people like kind of going back. But ultimately, that's just me. This is what I like to do. I like to stop at 250 gems. Though this is one of the good ways to get resources. However, I only highly recommend this is when you're actually really hard stuck. Or if it's basically at the end of the day and you're about to log off. Then I would recommend you doing this, these wipeouts. The only reason being is because, as you can see up here, stage clear count. If you clear 5 story stages, then you will level up your outpost. The higher level your outpost, the more resources you'll get. That goes for both your AFK and your wipeout. So ultimately, you want to hit this at the end of the day. Either when you're hard stuck, or you're about to head off to bed or something. Now, of course, there are other ways to get battle data and core dust. One of the best things is, no, not really best things, but one of the ways is you have stuff like the core dust case and the battle data set case. Now, you get these from doing certain missions or some daily stuff. Especially your daily stuff, you'll get a lot of the battle data through your daily stuff. However, I do not recommend using these just yet when you get them. I would actually highly recommend you actually save them for when you actually need them. For when you're kind of slightly stuck and you need to level up your Nikkes just a little bit. That's when I would recommend using these. Because you don't want to use them too soon. Because then you won't have anything for when you actually do get stuck. Kind of think of these as your emergency items. That's at least what I like to think about it. These are your emergency items. Only use these when you actually can't progress any further. Another thing I almost forgot to mention is that these do accumulate to about an hour or 2 hours, or for this one, 12 hours. It's not like an expiration thing. So basically, when you use it, it'll give you an accumulation of that reward that accumulates to like about an hour. So like for this one, it's in an hour, so I'll get 130, because that's what I'll get for an hour. And then for 12 hours, this is for core dust, 395. So normally you'll get about 1 hour's worth of each one. But like I said again, kind of keep these on the side for when you really need them. Consider them your emergency stuff. Now, another way to increase your power is by... It's kind of straightforward, not necessarily, but your gear. Now, this character doesn't really have the best gear, but basically getting them gear and also upgrading that gear as well. Now, of course, there are, at least as far as I know, 2 ways to get gear. I guess technically 3 if you count the story. But outside of the story, about 2 ways. The first way is by going to the Ark, and you have the Inception. These are basically 3 boss fights. You can only do one of them 3 times a day. And these are basically ways for you to get gear for your Nikkes. So like for this one, I can do it a total of 3 times. However, if I do it 3 times here, I can't do this one. And same thing with this one. However, that one's a little bit later. But when you first actually unlock this, you'll only have this one. Again, you can do this total of 3 times. And when you first unlock this, you're not going to be able to kill it. I'm going to say it straight. You're not going to be able to kill it. So the best thing that you can possibly do is just try and do as much damage as you possibly can. The more damage you do, the higher your score will be. So if you can survive long enough to get a decent high score, you're going to get some decent gear. Or at least have a chance at some decent gear. Because these are the rewards of it. You'll also get some upgrade materials as well from this. But normally, around 4 million is going to be where you're going to start getting the better stuff. At least decent stuff. So, when you first unlock this, don't worry about it. You're not really going to be able to kill it. Just trying to survive as long as you possibly can while doing damage. So that way, at least you're getting some decent gear out of it. But of course, don't worry as well. Later on, as you increase your power, you're going to start doing a lot more damage, and thus, you're eventually going to kill this thing. Now, another way to get gear, it's not the most I don't really recommend this, unless it's like really last-ditch effort. You really need like a gear for a specific, maybe not a specific piece, but like a piece for a Nikke or something, is the shop here. And it's the arena. I think it's this one. Yeah, the arena shop. The arena shop will sell gear. However, it's about 3K a piece, as you can see. And I highly do not recommend this, just because you can use your tickets for something else that that's going to be coming up here pretty shortly. So again, don't buy these unless you really, really absolutely need it. But even still, I would probably recommend just waiting until the next day so you can do Inception again. But either way, that's up to you guys. Before I go on to the next thing, I just also remembered another way for you to, kind of following the Inception, you get upgrade materials, in which you can click on your pieces of gear, upgrade, and you can just kind of upgrade your pieces with other equipment that you have, or with these little things that you get from Inception and stuff. This is how you're going to upgrade your gear. This does increase the effectiveness of that piece of gear, and also increases the power of your Nikke. Now, another way to increase your power is by leveling up the skills of your Nikke. I was just in the Nikke thing, and I went back to the main screen. Silly me. So, anyways, another way to increase the power is by increasing the Nikke's skills. Skill 1, Skill 2, and then their burst skill. If you upgrade these, this will also really enhance their power, and thus give you a higher power score. However, the only way to actually do this, to get these items, there's only 2 ways at the moment. And that is going to the Ark and going to the simulation room. The simulation room right here. And then basically you get to choose between the difficulty of 1, 2, 3, and then sectors of A, B, and C. Now, to keep this part short, for me, the highest thing is 3. and the farthest I can do is C. So what you really want to do is you want to do, for me, I would want to do 3 and then do C. You basically want to do the highest sector that you possibly can, because then it'll give you all the rewards that you would that accumulates from the 2 that you haven't done. So basically, the rewards that I get from doing 3 and C would be all the rewards that I would also get from doing 2 and 1. Now, of course, if you're not able to do the highest, so like say if I couldn't do C, then you would want to do the next thing under it, which would be B. It's a little bit less rewards, but ultimately it still gives you the rewards. It will still give you some of the rewards. So ultimately, if I can't do C, I would go down to B. And if I can't do B, then go down to A. So ultimately, the only ways to upgrade your skills is by doing the simulation room, to get those items to then increase the level of your skill. But of course, that's not really the only way of increasing your skills, or at least getting the items to increase your skills. If you actually go back to the arena shop here, like I was just at, this is why you want to save your tickets, because you have these manual codes that you can buy with those arena tickets, that these codes are going to be needed for later, when you reach to about rank 4 or 5 in the levels of those first skills and those skill 1 and 2. You're going to need these, or technically you can also just buy the code manual box, because technically if you look into this, you can choose upon what manual you're going to want. But ultimately, this is what I recommend you save your tickets for. Of course, if you are also short on tickets, so you can't like buy these 3 and the box, I highly recommend you just buy the box then. The reason being is because with the box, again, you can choose which manual that you want. So if you need a water one, you can choose a water one. I think that's wind. You can choose a wind, and so forth. Unlike these, even though these would be great to have if you actually have the tickets for them, they're basically the same thing inside this box. But if you can't buy these, at least try and get the box, the code manual box. Just that way you can pick and choose what you want and how many you want, if you're actually stacking these things up, like I have. And now, now last way to increase the power of your Nikke, or at least a basic way to increase the power of your Nikke, is actually going back to the outpost and going to the command center that's over here, and basically advising your I like how I have the same song going. And going to the advise section. Basically, this is where you can advise your Nikkes, send them gifts, in which doing those will increase your bond rate. You increase your bond, so like rank 12, rank 10. If you increase their bond level, it will increase their stats. So give them more HP, more attack, more defense, and so which ultimately it will increase their actual power rating as well, because you're increasing those stats. Now, of course, you can, when you first get to this point, you can only really advise, I believe, 3 Nikkes a day. So you're going to have to kind of pick and choose. But as you continue through the story and also get a little bit more powerful and more Nikkes, you're going to start getting much more more advised attempts. And I only highly recommend that you advise and gift the Nikkes that are part of your core team, at least for the beginning part. So technically, you know, Anise is technically part of my core team for the moment being, because I can't find another 2, surprisingly. So she's part of the core team for the moment. So I would at least want to advise her every single day and try and send her a gift if I have one, just so that way I can increase that bond and then increase her power and so forth. And I would keep doing this for all the ones that are part of my core team. And that's basically it upon at least the basic ways of how to increase your power score. There are other advanced ways. Advanced ways to increase your power score. However, that does require you to be like at least mid-game. So I kind of left those out for a reason. However, I will make a videos on those here in a. I will have a video up on those at least here in a little bit. But at least for the moment for this video, I wanted to at least just focus on the basic stuff. So basically stuff like increasing their skill, getting them better gear, increasing their bond, and then increasing their level. So hopefully, I hope you guys found this useful. This is my first guide, so do bear with me. I might talk a little bit too fast, or I might be saying a little bit too much. See, even she's shocked. Yeah. Anyways, so I hope you guys did find this useful, and hopefully I'll get better at this. But do let me know if you have any guys have any questions. If you do, put them in the comment sections, and I will reply to them as fast as I possibly can. And if you did also find this useful, do consider hitting that like and subscribe button. It will greatly help me out to get this, to get this going. And if you do have any recommendations upon what you want to see, or what you want me to go over, or even just explain a little bit more in detail, do let me know also in the comments. And with that, I will see you guys later. Take care, everyone.